right, we are back, Heroes on the Mat. We got a very, very, very special guest today. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Heather.
I'm Justin. It's very nice to meet you. We have not met until today. This is our first time meeting. I know absolutely nothing about this woman. So we're going to get to know her together, the audience and myself. So let's start.
Yeah, so my name is Heather Glogolich. I am a captain at NJIT PD. I've been training jiu-jitsu since March of 2022. I love Heroes on the Mat. That's where I met Joe and got to be a part of it, but mostly because I'm also the president of New Jersey Women in Law Enforcement. And so we're one of the bigger sponsors that helps out Heroes on the Mat be hopefully as successful as it's going to be.
Okay. Yeah. So let's start from the beginning then.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you get started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Did you start out wrestling when you were younger? What would you do?
No, I wish. My dad was a state wrestling champ, and I wanted to when I was a kid. And his answer was, girls don't wrestle. So there was that. So no, I never did that. I was a soccer, basketball, softball player. I became a cop in 2004, and the agency that I left about 2.5 years ago was very big into defensive tactics. Started doing it before it was mandatory for New Jersey to do it for licensing. Mm-hmm. And so I loved it, but when I was on the mat, I didn't really have a foundation other than what I learned in the academy in 2004. So in my head, when I would show up, I'd be like, I have to go hard. I have to show myself to be incredible and tough because I have to prove myself, right?
Yeah.
Something I very much had in my own mind. And then NJLEO Jiu-Jitsu started on a foundational level, running these monthly open mats for cops. Mm-hmm. And I reached out to them and I was like, hey, listen, like this is about to be mandatory in New Jersey. And I know for a fact there's a lot of women like me that don't have the training that you men do. Like we didn't do rugby. We didn't have wrestling. We didn't have football in numbers that you guys did. We don't know how to move bodies the way that you do. So can you help us find a way to make women more comfortable training? So when they do go to their mandatory training for their agencies, they don't feel like they have to go all out and be something they're not, and potentially get a risk at getting hurt or be nervous about walking on the mat. So they started that every month when they would have like an open mat. They would do an hour before for just women, and they would train them on the basics. And I started my daughter when she was 5, my youngest. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I really want her to be in this. She was 5 years old. She started, and I was like, how can I have her do it enough? I'm not going to step on the mat and do it too. And so she was really my inspiration.
Okay.
I had a hip replacement February 2nd of 2022, and 6 weeks later I started jiu-jitsu.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I was like, I'm all in.
Was the hip replacement due to the job?
I'm not really sure what it is from. I've had 9 knee surgeries, 3 of which are knee replacements, and then my hip and my spine. And the hip, the spine, and one of the knees was like after jiu-jitsu, not the hip that was before, but it's probably a myriad of just being a person that doesn't take care of my body as well as I should and kind of beating the shit out of it all the time.
Well, like you said, I mean, you were an athlete growing up, and
yeah.
That comes with the territory, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So, but you became a cop in 2004.
I did.
Okay, so what drove you into law enforcement?
I'm not really sure. No one in my family ever was. I didn't know any women cops growing up. Mm-hmm. I worked in a town, I lived in a town, Denville, and I just really fell in love with law enforcement when I took a criminology class in high school as like an elective.
Okay.
I kind of had always been drawn to police shows. I think I really love figuring things out. I love helping people. I kind of just really wanted to be a real life superhero. Mm-hmm. And I hate the office life. I hate Monday through Friday, which is funny because that's all I do now. Mm-hmm. But I really do love being a cop. Even 22 years later, law enforcement is such a passion of mine. Mm-hmm. It's kind of moved from helping people on the ground level in the community to kind of helping other cops be the best versions of themselves now. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. So in 2004, you went into the academy and became a cop, mm-hmm. right? And you started out, you said, in Denville?
No, that's where I grew up. I started out with the Morris County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
I got out of the academy. I very quickly realized that was not going to be where I wanted to spend my career. I didn't want to be in a courtroom. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to be out on the streets. I wanted to be in it.
Okay.
And so I transferred to Morris Township PD, where I spent 18 years. And then about 2.5 years ago, I transferred to NJIT in Newark.
Right. So, yeah, because NJIT in Newark, they have their own police force, technically, right?
Yeah, there's 43 of us.
Oh, wow. I didn't know there was that many.
Yeah. We're like a little substation of Newark.
Yeah. My brother went there, so he went to NJIT.
Nice.
So, yeah, for engineering. So it was definitely not the easiest place for him. So I'm assuming you being a police officer there, you've had a lot of run-ins and dangerous situations and so on. So when you had your first run in and doing certain things as a cop, did you have any of your training yet or no? You had no training, right?
No, I've been training since 2022, and I transferred in September of 23.
Okay.
So I had a good year or so of training. So uniquely enough, I transferred into NJIT as a captain. So I am not really on patrol as much as I would like to be.
Okay.
But I mean, we still are an open campus and we deal with all the things. And I really love going on the road. Like my guys will tell you all the time, whenever they have something, I'm like, oh my God, I love police work. I just miss it. And I run in. I mean, like, you know, next to Heroes on the Mat headquarters, one of my sergeants lives, right? And he will tell, if you like literally pulled him over here from next door to where we are, he'd be like, and you were like, what's Heather's favorite phrase? He'd be like, I love police work. Because that's what I say all the time. I just love it so much. So, you know, I haven't really had that many while I've been there. I've helped to de-escalate some situations, which I very much accredit to jiu-jitsu, because in this situation, I'm not nervous like I used to be before I started training. I can walk in a room now and be like, yeah, I could probably win any fight in this room for the most part, which is, you know, I'm only a blue belt, and I say only a blue belt, but
it's an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
A lot of people will, I mean, honestly, one of the biggest accomplishments, in my opinion, is walking in the room for the first time.
Amen
It's one of the biggest accomplishments. Getting your white belt, I think, is the hardest thing, because getting over yourself and getting on the mats is very difficult to do, because you're going in knowing nothing, about to get strangled by a complete stranger.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're doing. But achieving a blue belt, at least in my opinion, and it's one of the things that I think that pretty much all cops should get to that point.
Yeah.
I'm sure you agree, right? With
100%. I think every single police, actually, I think all girls, I mean, like, yes, I think everybody should just train jiu-jitsu. I wish every single person in the entire world trained jiu-jitsu, but I just think people would be better off, because there's so many things you learn on the mat, right? Just about yourself and your limitations, and the way that you can speak to people without a language, and the way bodies move, and the way that you can find strength within and not giving up, and then knowing when to give up, right? It's that ultimate ability to let go of your ego that is really just intoxicating with this beautiful art. But, you know, as far as, you know, being a blue belt and that accomplishment, you know, a lot of it came from needing to refine my power. My personal situation, I came from a domestic violence relationship, my first marriage, and one of the things that my ex-husband had done was strangle me, and I didn't even realize, and I was just talking to one of your previous guests about you know, EMDR and all the things with therapy, and I didn't even realize that by like going on the mat, I was kind of negating every bad thing that he did by being with men that respected my body, where I was in control of being like, no, stop, like I'm gonna tap, like that's not where I'm comfortable. And I think for all the people that worry about stepping on the mat, I don't think they realize that the culture of jiu-jitsu is about regaining your power. It's about being able to say no and have boundaries and understand that you're in control of what happens, even when someone's in control of your body. So I absolutely love the sport, and it has made me a much better cop, just walking into a room and the confidence to know that I can handle everything physically, but I never really even have to get there, because I've built this confidence within myself verbally, or just like my authority, like that constructive authority, you know, what we like to call our use of force compendium. But yeah, just walking in and having that confidence is what jiu-jitsu has given me.
That's great. And it's beneficial to everyone involved. I mean, you know, on my last episode, I think I spoke about that a little bit, is, you know, you're not only protecting yourself, you're protecting the person that you're rolling around with too.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to get hurt. I mean, you don't want to hurt somebody. Nobody wants to get hurt in a tussle. And it's just more so about control. Yeah. You know, if you're controlling a body on the ground without being able to hurt them, everyone benefits in that way.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm sure on the street, anytime you've done street work, and if you do have to roll around with somebody, I mean, you're on the street. There's no hold bar at that point. Anything can happen. So when you have that kind of energy and confidence in your ability, I'm sure that helps essentially de-escalate the entire situation before you even get to the ground. But if you do, like you said, you're calm. There's a calmer demeanor to yourself. You're not as, you know, when people get nervous, you know, you get that shaky feeling and nervousness, and you probably don't get that now that you're trained, right?
Yeah. I mean, also, I think that, you know, I've had black eyes, I've broken my nose. There's all these things that come along with training, with getting injured. Yeah. And there's a difference between being hurt and being injured, right? I actually tell my kids this all the time. I'm like, all right, cry about it a little bit, but are you actually injured, or are you just hurt? Yeah. You know, and so for me, like, I've been in situations where like I know what it's like to get a broken nose and just keep going, or you know, my eye blow up so much and still continue a couple rounds. So if that happens, and that's more bound to happen in my line of work than on the mats, right? So you don't have the confidence to know that like I don't have to give up. Like just because you get knocked down doesn't mean you can't get back up. Is this added level of ability when it comes to being a cop?
Yeah. So when you started training and everything like that, did you compete at all?
Yes, not with my first school. So I was at All Star with Jamal Patterson, who was my black belt, and there were 2 black belts from NJLEO that got their black belts there. Scott Anderley, he's the chief of Watchung Police Department, and Matt LaKelt, who's a detective in Edison. The 2 of them are the founders of NJLEO Jiu-Jitsu, and that's where they are. But that's where my daughter started.
Okay.
And I kind of knew I wanted to compete. Like I'm just that person. I'm a competitive person. Like how do I know I'm doing what I'm doing and that I could really kind of make it applicable to my job if I'm not going to do it in more of a controlled environment where, you know, there's a referee and you're going all out and you might not know the other person's way of training.
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted to, but I was very nervous. And then I put my daughter in a competition and then I was like, oh my God, I need to do this.
Yeah.
And I actually changed jiu-jitsu places. I started going to Sub Force in Lyndhurst. We have a 5 a.m. class that on any given Friday for an open mat, we'll have 60 people on the mat at 5 a.m.
Whoa.
Every morning there's no less than 25 on the mat at 5 a.m. It's just my daughter, since the time she was 7 or 8, has come with me. She trains with grown men. It's just it's a beautiful family that I can't say enough about, but I was like, man, I gotta compete. And I've competed twice. I was supposed to compete last summer. I went to DT training instructor class and blew my knee replacement out, and then that was the weekend before I was supposed to compete.
Yeah.
I was actually supposed to compete at Heroes on the Mat this year on January 18th, and my competitor ended up not being able to fly up from Florida, so I didn't get to compete there. But I'm holding off a little bit until after I complete something this summer, but then I'll be back in because I'm a psycho, and why not at 46 years old with more fake joints than I do have anything else, you know?
Like female RoboCop.
Legit, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So your daughter competed technically before you, and that's what sparked you into wanting to do it after watching her.
I think it definitely heightened the want to, but it's always kind of there. Like I am a competitor with everything that I do. Like and I will never let anybody win. Like even my children, we could be playing Scrabble, and I'm sorry, but I'm smarter than you, and I'm gonna win. And you just have to get to a point to be there, right? Chess, I'm gonna beat you. Like I just kind of feel like earn it.
Yeah.
There's no participation trophies in my house. So.
Yeah, well, I agree with all that. There shouldn't be participation trophies in general. Yeah. But that's probably a much longer discussion.
But she now wrestles at 10. She's been wrestling for 2 years. She'll be going to States again, and it's just a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Is it through school? Like, how does that work at that age?
Yeah, she's on 2 club teams, and so she's with Yale Street, which is amazing. It's run by Donnie DeFilippis, who is a Summit cop. He's also the DT instructor, I think, at Union County. I believe he was a Division I wrestler in college.
Oh.
He's phenomenal. The program's phenomenal. Then she also works privately with a guy named Ray Dungy, who is out of Morristown, and so it's a girls' class she does, and then she does Hill Valley, which is out of where we live in New Providence, Summit, and Chatham.
Okay.
And it's almost all guys all the time. It's like I look at her and I'm like, man, copy paste on that kid, right? Because being a female in law enforcement, you're usually one of the very few, especially when you're a leader in law enforcement. It's even less amount of numbers, and not that that's like a thing, but sometimes it can be. And I think we put it on ourselves a lot more to kind of, I don't know, prove ourselves, even though the men don't necessarily require it. That's what's been bred into us. So to watch her go out there and compete and hold her own and cry a couple times, but still get up and keep going and go back in there, and to know that, like, man, there's this conversation I don't have to have with her that I'll have to have with my other 2 daughters. And it's that when a man touches you, or even a woman touches you in a way that's disrespectful, like she's going to know what that's like without having to have those words, because she's had so many people touch her respectfully.
Yes.
And, watching her have, in jiu-jitsu, have a grown man or a boy between her legs and her be able to get out, like, man, like, why don't we want all our daughters to know how to do that? You know what I mean?
Agree.
Like I wish somebody taught me that. I just, it's a beautiful thing to watch. But at the same time, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, my 10-year-old daughter is rolling around with grown men, and their hands are in places they shouldn't be. But Man, she's a beast. You should have her on the show. She's pretty fun. She's awesome, but yeah.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it at all.
She probably would drop more F-bombs than me, but that's fine.
Oh, good to know. I'm sure the YouTube algorithm will love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, oh, wow. So, everyone keeps telling me that you got all this other stuff going on. So, tell me a little bit more about that. I mean, you have a sweatshirt on. You're showing me something right now.
Yeah.
Explain New Jersey Women in Law Enforcement, the NJWLE.
So NJWLE was founded actually the same year I became a police officer, but I knew nothing about it.
Okay.
One of my lieutenants was like, "Hey, you should go to this all women's conference." I'm like, "Please do not put me in a room with a bunch of women." Like, I fought. I legitimately said that. I'm like, I fought so hard to be part of the guys. Like, don't do this to me. And I went and I was like, well, this is kind of cool to have a room where you could talk about things that kind of only affect us, right? So, you know, coming back to work after having a kid and having to worry about like breastfeeding and your vest fitting a certain way and pants that are made for men when your hips are a little bit different, or even just the way we shoot. I don't think enough people take an understanding of the fact that like our hands are small. Mine aren't. I have man hands, but our hands are smaller. So where our finger goes into the trigger pull and pulling back and just the way we stand with our hips and things like that, or what we carry when we're wearing leggings, right? Or no gi stuff. If we want like an off-duty belly band, like we're not going to have that conversation with men like we are with women. Yeah. And so it was like this beautiful ability to be in a room with people that were kind of working through the same things. It was this mentorship that I never had. Yeah. I kind of got pulled in 2019 to be a trustee. And from there, you know, 2020 hit with COVID, so it was kind of on the back burner. I went to VP, and now I've been president for 3 years, going on 4. And you know, we went from having maybe 50 active members to now we have over 1,200 members within New Jersey. Holy moly! And on top of that, we have so many women that are certified in defensive tactics as instructors. We have a female, Jasmine, who's from the New Jersey State Police. We have Nadine, who actually trains with a couple of the people that have been in the room today with us. Carol from Woodbridge, and we run a full day of defensive tactics to get their 4 hours of mandatory training done. So every year we certify 120 plus women in their 4 hours licensing requirements through NJWLA. Okay. And it's not about segregation. It's not about sitting here and being like, yay, let's like push the female card, because that's just not what we're about. Like, we're the first people to stand up in court, and we have in front of the Senate. We've said, you know, like, don't lower the standards for women. Like, we've fought to be here. Like, if we want to be equal, let us be equal. You know, so we're very much just about you know, equity and fairness, but in a way that isn't segregating. Yeah. And we want women to show up. We want them on the mats. We want them to compete. Yeah. I mean, there's only been one female match at both of the heroes on the mats, and we want more, because chicks fighting is awesome. I agree. Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Are you into UFC at all? Do you watch mixed martial arts?
I do. Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the greatest female fights of all time, one of the greatest fights of all time was a strawweight fight between Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Weili Zhang.
Hell yeah.
You agree?
I would have to. Yeah, that's definitely up there on one of my tops. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm an old school UFC person. Like, I was, you know, introduced back in 2000, well, actually like 99 and 2000. I had no idea what it was. And then I met an Ultimate Fighter, and I was like, oh God, you guys like beat the crap out of each other. What is this, right? It's not old school boxing that I grew up on. It's not Rocky, you know, like my dad loved for me to watch. Yeah. And I was like, I really wish I could have done it. I think I would have been awesome, because I guess maybe because I dismiss what my body needs, and sometimes I just go.
Just keep going.
Yeah, I just sacrifice it. But I would love to. I'm just too old now. I'd break.
So can I ask? Yeah. You said you met someone. Who was it?
Chuck Liddell.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you met someone who's without a doubt one of the biggest stars in the sport ever.
It's he helped me train for the police academy, actually.
Really?
So I have a better southpaw than I do as a righty because of him. Yeah.
So you've trained striking in the past, and do you still do it now? I'm assuming a little bit, right?
I mean, more so like on my own. I don't do anything formally. We don't do it in jiu-jitsu. Okay. But I mean, I have a bag in my garage. My daughter and I do it. My son and I do it. So yeah, I love it. And you have to. You know what I mean? You have to train. You have to do all sorts of stuff, because, like you said, if I'm on the streets and something's going on, like I'm not just pulling jujitsu. Like I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Like if you're fighting me, then you want to win, and I'm not going to let you win. And I don't care what I have to do. I'll bite you. I will take an eye out. I will do whatever I have to do to go home. And I don't really care if I get judged by a jury of 12, because it's better than being buried by an amount of 6. And I have 4 kids to go home to, and a husband, and people to love on still. So come at me, but I will make sure that you're hurt in the process, even if you win. Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
The quote that you said, better to be judged by, was it
12 than carried by 6?
Yes, I've heard that before, and I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And there is obviously there is a stigma to, just especially right now, cops in general, but females in law enforcement. And you being the president of this organization now it's a big deal. You know what I mean? Especially, you say, going from 50 members now to 1,200.
Yeah.
I'm sure. It was 50 members when you became president, or
no. When I started going, and we'd have conferences, and there'd be 100 people. Okay. And I'm surrounded by these incredible women that just want to recognize everybody for the great things they do in law enforcement. And the culture within law enforcement is something that is going to continually struggle forever. But, I'm very blessed to travel the country and teach women in law enforcement how to kind of rise up instead of being, pushed down, and to stop expecting the stigmas of women in policing are something that should just be let go of, but to fight to negate what the stigmas are, prove that you're not part of the stigma. I have no problem saying that to women. And should we have to prove ourselves all the time? No, but men still prove themselves too, and I don't think we give enough credit to that as well. And so for me, it's very much this beautiful organization, and I have this incredible team. And we had people who we had conferences of only 50 to 100 people, and now we're turning people away. We capped it at 550 this year, and now it went from 1 day to 2 days, and next year we're moving to 3 days, and breakout rooms about things like resume building and interview and interrogation, and human trafficking, and things where we don't necessarily always, as police officers, get the opportunity to do that training. So we're really lucky to work with politicians, chiefs, organizations that really support just advancing law enforcement as a whole, and we just take advantage of it as our organization in NJWLA. Yeah.
How often do you train in jiu-jitsu? How often do you normally go? Is it a daily thing for you? Is it a couple times a week? What is your pretty much schedule when it comes to something like that?
I really love this question because it's transitioned a little bit. So I was a 5, 6, 7 day a week at 5 a.m. Okay. And I was definitely burning the candle at both ends. Yeah. And then I got brought in this year to help coach, and I'm legitimately putting up air quotes for coach wrestling, because I know nothing about wrestling. I know about jiu-jitsu. I told my daughter to pull guard the first time she went into a match, right? So I knew nothing. But women are growing in the sport of wrestling, and my daughter has really had a beautiful influence on a lot of girls in the town. So while she was maybe the only one last year on our team, this year we had 5 or 6. Okay. And so I was just like, how can I help? Because I want it to be an environment where girls can kind of come to me and be like, hey, this hurts, but I know it's not going to hurt a boy. So can you talk to me about how to move a certain way? Yeah. Or something or even just to put these kids in their place as the drill instructor, whatever it is. But I've learned so much. And so this past season, just with being at and coaching and then just going to all these wrestling practices, it's been limited to 2 or 3 times a week, but I'm wrestling. And, I kind of was starting to get down on myself about not showing up to jiu-jitsu at 5 a.m. as much as I was. And then I realized yesterday at an open mat, there are these skills I learned from being at wrestling practice. My takedowns are so much better. Okay. Being able to sprawl when somebody goes for a single leg, I'm so much better at it. So I don't know if it's like this, how often do you train? Because I was just having this conversation about training isn't necessarily always just on the mats. Yeah. And I think that's a huge realization where when you become a white belt and you like it, you become obsessed. Yes. You're and then maybe you get injured, maybe your ego gets bruised, maybe you're like, I should be further along. You feel stupid. You always feel stupid. I think anybody who doesn't feel stupid on the mats, maybe shouldn't be there anymore. There's always something to learn from somebody. But yesterday I was like, things are clicking a little bit. A little bit more than I really thought, because I've had a little bit of time off and, with injuries and stuff like that. But I'm the person that shows up anyway and is like, I might have just had my spine fused 3 weeks ago, but I'm sure I could do this in Spider Guard.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, and that's who I train with, like a bunch of savages that are like, no, we know you have to get back to work, so we're not going to injure you, and we're going to show you how to go around it because you're going to work. You need to know.
Yeah.
You know, you have to know how to do it, and that's my biggest pet peeve when people are like, I'm not in shape to do jiu-jitsu. Like, you get in shape when you're in jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
So, or the chiefs that are like, I don't want my people going to this because they might get hurt, or I don't want my people working out on duty because what if they get injured? Well, they're going to get injured if they don't. Like, you're putting them at a bigger risk. So, again, New Jersey Women in Law Enforcement advocates for that. I advocate for that. The New Jersey State Chiefs of Police are really starting to, I believe, come around because of some people that were getting into those positions there. And it's been this beautiful transition of what training is and what, you know, training could be.
I mean, I definitely agree with what you said 100% on doing nothing. You're gonna get injured. I mean, that's just with anything. I feel like not even just with mixed martial arts. I mean, I did bodybuilding and stuff, you know, for a while, and you know, I still lift weights and everything like that. And the one thing I noticed is I felt worse when I didn't do anything. And there was a point not even that long ago when I took pretty much, it was almost 6 months off from training. And I've never really done that before, you know, since I was a kid. And I was like, this is the worst I've ever felt physically. Like, everything hurt. I'm in pain all the time, but I didn't do anything. I'm like, so why is that? And then it's just, well, it's pretty clear. Movement is life. I mean, that's really what it is. The moment you stop moving, you die. So, I mean, for what you guys do and the danger that you're put in all the time, not training, not, you know, doing resistance training, lifting weights, not training and grappling, I feel like that's a detriment to everybody. I mean, at least in my opinion, everybody that you even work with, because you have to depend on people to be there to help you on top of, you know, depending on your own training. But if you need help, you want someone there that's competent and able to help you. Yeah. So that should be pushed. I mean, it really should. Training should be pushed, and you should have to do these things.
Yeah, and there's this argument of like, hey, we have to qualify in New Jersey twice a year with our handgun, right? But the amount of times we're actually going to have to use our handgun are so slim. The amount of times that we go hands-on, that could be an everyday thing, even if it's just physical contact with somebody, putting somebody in handcuffs, or moving it up to where we could potentially use deadly force. And so this argument that, like, well, we have to train because shooting someone is taking their life and whatever. Well, look, you really want to get into it, and I'm not going to talk about politics and what people believe, but like George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, like his move ended up in deadly force based on a whole other circumstances, but that's hands-on.
Okay, and we're back. Continue what you were saying. So you said that move specifically.
I mean, not really. Listen, he was leaning on his back, and there were things that were going on, and I'm not going to get into it. But I mean, I've read the entire report that came after that, and you know, it's just like you're seeing all of these things that are hands-on and aren't necessarily a weapon-based use of force become what's under scrutiny. Yeah. Right. So you know, I think it was in Trenton. There was an officer that ended up using OC spray on an elderly man when they were going to a domestic, and the man died because there were like internal complications. And it's this paradigm of what are we doing, you know?
So what is OC spray?
Sorry, that's mace.
Oh, okay.
We just call it OC spray because that's what it is, but it's mace.
Okay.
You know, so he just had complications from COVID, but how are you going to know that from somebody that's sitting on the porch? And the guy ended up dying. And so, you know, in New Jersey, when someone dies in our custody, and that's under, you know, Fourth Amendment stuff, whether, you know, we have to take care of people. Most people are like, oh, it's about us taking care of people, right? Yeah. So it's arrest, search, and seizure. It's people being under our care, whether they're in custody or not. But you know, so there's just these levels of scrutiny that come along with it, and you know, it's very rare we're pulling our gun, but it's almost every day. If you're a cop, that you're going hands on, whether or not you're even just walking a victim out of somewhere, or taking somebody out of a motor vehicle in order to conduct a search, or you know, placing somebody in handcuffs, or you know, if you're in a jail, you're in a custodial situation all the time. You're moving people to and from everywhere you go. So understanding how the body moves, how to move the body, how to apply pressure, you know, in ways that bring about the least amount of injury, like that's super important. Like if you're shooting somebody, it's to stop the threat. Yes. If you're holding on to somebody, it's to gain control. And so that's something that we should all be training no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. And you even mentioned the, you know, being in a jail and in a prison. I mean, one of my previous guests That's where he works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Decker, he works, did corrections. You don't have a gun.
No.
So you are depending on you, and that's it. You have no weapon, you have no gun, and sometimes you have no backup. So
yeah, it's like one to like. I mean, I know at Morris County Jail, and I think in county jails, it's like one corrections officer to 64 inmates,
which is insane.
Yeah. So with jiu-jitsu and training, like maybe it's 2 minutes, maybe it's 3 minutes, maybe it's a 5-minute round. I know Decker did a 7-minute round for Heroes on the Mat, but like. 7 minutes is going to get you back up in jail. Yeah. So if you know how to handle yourself with somebody on top of you, like even if, you're in somebody's side control or knee on belly, or where you're having that pressure on your sternum, on your stomach, learning how to breathe through it, rotate your body a little bit, being able to calm yourself down, to know that like just because you're not, winning the fight doesn't mean you're out of the fight. I mean, like when I teach defensive tactics to women, and I'm like, I'm going to go between your legs, and they're like, you're going to do what? I'm like, I'm going to get between your legs. How vulnerable do you feel right now? And they're like, I don't want this to happen. I'm like, now clench your legs together and push me backwards with your knees. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's powerful. I'm like, you can do the same thing if you're in trouble and someone's trying to assault you. Yeah. So there's that power and that knowledge, like knowing what your body can and cannot do. And like, that's that benefit of jiu-jitsu that I know people talk about that do practice jiu-jitsu, but I don't know if it's something that we really push in law enforcement enough. And it's nice to see it's coming around.
Yeah, it's definitely coming around more and more. And I mean, someone who I listen to all the time, let's call it what it is. The whole world listens to is Joe Rogan. And one of the things that he was pushing for a long time, especially after what happened in 2020, was he was saying, it should be mandatory that every cop should at least be a blue belt, which I don't know how anyone could ever disagree with that. You know what I mean? It's just, it seems extremely beneficial for all people involved. And I mean, you're doing that. I mean, you're doing that with females, which is a great thing to do. It's, you like you said, I mean, you don't want that stigma to be a thing. And you want them to know their own power, pretty much, know how to handle themselves so they don't feel a certain way, so they don't feel the need to draw the gun, which I think is pretty much one of the most important things, is because that's the last thing I'm sure that any cop wants to do is draw their gun. Agreed. Yeah. So, what you're doing is, I mean, at least in my opinion, I think it's a big deal, and it's good for everybody involved, and it's going to make a big change overall for everybody. Thanks. So, I mean, you're president. I'm sure you're not going to be leaving anytime soon.
I mean, I threaten it all the time, but yeah, no, I'm there for another couple years. My kids are aged 10 to 19. Yeah. And so I have 4 of them, so I kind of have to stay for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I maybe have 3 or 4 years left with New Jersey Women in Law Enforcement. It's just, I mean, we have 15 board and trustees. Everybody's on the same page. They just, I mean, this is something that's really important to the entire team, even if all of them don't train as much as maybe I do or some of the instructors do. But we're in it. We want to see everybody be the best versions of themselves. And I firmly believe jiu-jitsu is something that's made me a better person in every aspect of my life. As a parent, as a wife, as a friend, as a daughter, as a cop, as a leader, even just like loving myself. And listen, here's the issue when it comes to doing something like this, right? Yeah. And this is what so many people will argue with me about this newer generation of police officers, how they're harder to lead. And I completely disagree because they're still signing up for this job, even as shitty as it appears. Yeah. Right. And on top of that, they've grown up in a time where they've been pushed to understand that self-care is not selfish, that it's necessary. Yeah. And growing up and just being the woman that I am, and a lot of people that I know, it's like we feel as though we sacrifice so much. Whether it's for our kids, our spouse, the job, that we always put ourselves last. And that's where the breakdown is. It's like putting that time out in order to work out or make ourselves better in the long run really does make everything better, right? Like I've taught my kids that they're allowed to put themselves first. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, if my cup is empty, I can't fill up anybody else's cup. So maybe my choice is 5 a.m. so I don't feel as guilty because everybody's sleeping. Yeah. And I know that that's not the norm for everybody, but I'm also going to bed at 8 o'clock at night. Like my kids are putting me to bed, right? So it is what it is. Yes. They're sneaking the extra snacks because mom's asleep. But for me, it's just something that it's so important. And I preach to all of my people, like there's no such thing as work-life balance. There never will be. I don't care if you try to achieve it for the rest of your life, it's not going to happen. It's about you getting 100% of your day. And what are you putting into that 100%? Maybe like I say to my husband all the time, I'm like, babe, today I only have 20%. Like 80% has to be you today. And we balance that. But being honest and open, even with your kids on on a level of like, hey, mommy had a really rough day at work. Like I had a really bad call and I can't really talk to you about it, but I need like 10 minutes alone and maybe a glass of wine.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, when I go to jiu-jitsu and I get to strangle some of my best friends and get all of that out, I don't bring that home. I'm not as angry. I'm not as stressed. I'm not, you know, I feel like I've at least started the day doing something for myself so I can give more of myself to somebody else. And that's the beauty of this art, I think. Just that it helps balance some things out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and you even said it yourself. I mean, you're going into the room first thing in the morning and you're strangling close friends or possibly getting strangled.
No, most of the time I'm getting strangled, but it's totally fine.
But
I'm more of a leg lock kind of girl. Like, give me your ankle and I'll break it the fuck off.
Oh, okay, all right.
You know.
So if you were to pick your favorite submission, what would it be?
Oh, okay. So my favorite submission, I don't actually want to say it, but I love I love when someone's in my closed guard. I have some moves that I love to do that people just don't expect. And so I'm not going to say it because I don't want people to hear this and then know how to.
Okay, that's fine. You can tell me off camera.
I will 100% tell you off camera.
Okay, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, starting, like you said, at 5 a.m., I mean, you're starting the day doing something difficult, which, I mean, I go to the gym. I mean, I'm married, and I have a 2.5-year-old boy, and being present with my family is extremely important.
Yeah.
And I used to be a nighttime person, working out at night and everything like that. And after I had my son, that's kind of when I started to fall out of the gym because I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to train at night. I didn't want to do those things. And it was only up until maybe a couple months ago where I was like, I need to get back in the gym. I need to do something because I feel like garbage 24/7 and I don't want to work out at night. So there's only one other option. I'm going to have to start going to bed at like 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night, and I'm going to be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go train at 5. So, and that's what I do now too. And, go to a gym at 5 a.m. And like you said, it's like you don't really feel as guilty because everyone's still sleeping.
Yeah.
But you're starting your day off with something physical and honestly, I've never felt better. You know what I mean? I'm not going and getting strangled by people. I'm going to war with, with weights and everything along those lines. But it's still starting the day with something very difficult. So I agree with what you say and doing that. And it does make you a better person. It calms you for the day because you've been through a hardship already.
Yeah.
So most of the time, whatever you're dealing with throughout the day doesn't feel as bad. Doesn't feel as difficult, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Listen, I just like got out of somebody strangling me. Like whatever you have, your little problem when you walk in my office, we're gonna handle it.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
So and listen, the people I work with are incredible. I've really, we now have a SWAT team at ESU, and they're always like, "Hey, Cap, like, let's do this for our ESU training day." It's ESU, but it's SWAT.
Yeah.
It just sounds nicer when it's emergency services instead of SWAT on a college campus.
Uh-huh.
But for training, they're like, "Hey, can you teach us this? Can you do this? Can we do this?" And it's pretty cool to just be able to share my love of it and and I'm going to tell you an incredible story. And this is why I love this sport so much. New Jersey Women in Law Enforcement was gifted this beautiful opportunity for 6 women to go train in Pennsylvania with Vehicle Dynamics Institute. And Joe Otera is one of the CEOs of that. And his daughter, Jackie Montanaro, was killed in a house fire in 2023. She was a supervisor agent with Customs Border Patrol. And it was January 14th of 2023. Her home caught on fire. It was down here somewhere, like in South Jersey. And she got out, her one daughter got out, her husband got out, and her other daughter was stuck inside. She ran back in, they both died.
Oh my God.
So him and his wife, Jackie's mom, have turned around and just donated so many opportunities to women in law enforcement in her honor. Yeah. Because she was very into training, she was very into things like that. And so I brought 2 of my officers and then 3 other officers from other agencies to this training this past October. Okay. And we learned, how to survive a vehicle ambush. So when someone starts shooting at you and pulling away, which is super poignant, because last February, one of the detectives out of Newark PD was assaulted by a juvenile with, I think, a semi-automatic weapon and died. And right as he tried to get out of the car on them to investigate. And so we went over that, and then we did vehicle-centric defensive tactics, which isn't taking somebody out of the car, it's surviving inside the car if someone attacks you in the car. Yeah. And the one girl, Corporal Orocho, my corporal, who just, man, you want to talk about somebody who's the definition of resilience, right? I brought her. She was all in it. We do elbow striking in the class. We're talking about like pulling people in, holding them, practicing firing from like being stuck inside the car, behind the MDT, having your seatbelt on, like practicing the things that cops don't really practice and they should.
Yeah.
And how to hold on to somebody, pull them in the car, hold on to them into a way where you still got control, but you're inside your space, your home. Mm-hmm. And so she leaves that training and she's just amped, right?
Okay.
It's like 2 weeks later and she pulls one of our sergeants aside and she's like, yo, Sarge, I'm at you. What are you going to do about it? Uh-huh. And they're like on a parking deck and he's like, I don't even know, right? So she takes like an hour and she just tells him all the things she learned. Just little things, right? Mm-hmm. Not an hour later, he goes to pick up food at a drive-thru and gets assaulted by somebody who's an emotionally disturbed person, jumps in the car on him, crawls in, is beating the shit out of him, climbs in, is trying to steal the car and beat him up, and he survives it. And they keep him in custody. And he couldn't take out the gun on, the suspect couldn't get the gun out because he knew how to hold it down. He used the seatbelt to gain control. Like, all the things she spent, like, a little bit of time just an hour and a half earlier teaching, right?
Yeah.
And so when you talk about this sport and my love of training and the ability to kind of put yourself first and make yourself the best version of this job that you can be, like, that's just, like, the best example. Like, when does that happen?
Yeah.
Right? When does that happen? Uh-huh. And so, I feel like she saved his life just by sharing the knowledge of control.
I mean, I think the craziest part is I don't know if you've ever watched car jitsu, but pretty much that is essentially what he had to use to survive.
Absolutely.
Which I never thought that would ever be applicable to anybody, but now that you mention it, I guess it does.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I know. So it's just that whole paying it forward. You get into police work and you have this why.
Yeah.
And I'm sure anybody that you will ever ask, if they're your guest, if you said, why did you get into police work? And even when we interview people on interview panels, I'm like, what's your why?
Yeah.
And they're like, I just want to be part of the community. I'm like, no shit. Like, that's what everybody should want to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's your real why? Mm-hmm. And usually you come down to finding this bigger purpose of what they're doing. And that's their why. That's what brings them back. I like to say that this job is like a game of golf. Like, you could have 17 really bad holes and then nail a drive off the 18th. And like, that'll bring you back every time. It's the same thing with this job. Mm-hmm. And for me, the why, and as a leader, your why should change. And for me, it's really just making sure that this job is better than I found it, like leaving it better than I found it, making sure that the people that I love and I care that are under my whatever, umbrella of leadership, that they go home safe and that they feel fulfilled in every aspect of their life, not just the way they show up to work, but how they show up for themselves and for their family and all of those things. And, jiu-jitsu is such a large part of that. Like, I literally spew jiu-jitsu on everybody. I'm like, oh, jiu-jitsu would fix that for you, you know? But I mean, it's this, I don't know, beautiful synchrony of all the things in life that I've learned to grow this passion for. And at the foundation of finding who I am and what makes me really happy, it's been jiu-jitsu.
That's incredible. It really is. I mean, it's, especially with today, I mean, a lot of people, especially young people growing up, a lot of people are very nihilistic with their viewpoints on everything in life and all that, and all those other things. And if there is some kind of outlet like jiu-jitsu that can make people not feel that way, to go into a job and actually enjoy their day, enjoy what they do, and like you said, leave it better than when you came into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really good thing. And if jiu-jitsu is what gets you there and gets other people there, I mean, that's a blessing in itself. I mean, it really, really is. And look, I mean, you're doing a lot of great work. Thanks. Obviously, I mean, you shared some good stories with me. I hope that you'll come back on again.
Anytime. Anything for Joe.
Yeah, hopefully it's after you do compete. And then we could talk about that. That would be really cool. Hopefully I can get some more stories from you about your training going into it, and then, your mindset for your first time going in on Heroes on the Mat, and then how you felt afterwards. But, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you meeting with me and sitting with me. It was really nice to get to know you.
Me too.
And I hope a lot of people watch this. I mean, she's doing great things. So if anyone wants to contact her, what is your social media? Give whatever you can out to people. Like,
I'm on LinkedIn, Heather Glogolich. The last name sucks, I know. It's Glogolic. My maiden name was Jones. I probably should have just kept that. But, I'm also on Instagram. It's Heather_empowered policing. But yeah, I'm never on Facebook, so don't even bother. But that's where you can find me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm glad everyone got to know Heather with me. It was an absolute pleasure to have her on here. She's going to be competing hopefully very soon for Heroes on the Mat. If there's any other females out there that do compete, that are first responders, they're LEOs, military, whatever,
Nurses.
Anything, nurses,
Come on,
yeah,
let's
hit
go.
us up, let us know, because we need more female competitors, just in general. I mean, even if you're, if you're not a first responder, you're not any of those things, there's plenty of other places to compete. I mean, obviously, strictly here, we have a certain niche that we're in with certain competitors, but if you're thinking about it, contact her. I mean, she's there. If you're feeling a certain way, you don't know if you can compete, you don't know how you feel about it, contact her, because she's helping a lot of women get into this sport. She's helping a lot of women in law enforcement, and I'm sure she's willing to answer any questions that anyone has. So, thank you for joining us. Go follow us on social media. Go to our Instagram page, Heroes on the Mat. Go to our website, buy some merch. Submission Snacks is one of our sponsors. Go there, buy some stuff. They got great great snacks over there. You can follow me at my Instagram. My Instagram is mma.court. I'm very into mixed martial arts. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm a little obsessive over it and crazy. I am in the process of becoming an MMA judge, and hopefully, if I get that done, maybe I'll judge a couple events. But at least I'll have that, knowledge to be able to give my opinion on what's going on when it comes to the judging, because a lot of it is pretty bad. You watch the sport a lot, I'm sure, and you see a lot of those terrible decisions. But that's pretty much it for today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in and watching. And until next time, we appreciate you being here, and we're done.